where your food comes from? Do you know what you're feeding your body? Without rallied community support of local farmers, this is what America's farming industry has turned into. Dead and gone forever. Left over for large corporations to take over who do not care about anything but your pocketbook.
Hi, I'm Monica Osborne, an activist for the local grown movement, and today let's talk about how we can work together to build a brighter future for our children, their children, and the future generations to come. The two main benefits that I want to discuss today are health benefits and the environmental benefits of becoming a locavore. So the benefits of eating local goes beyond the health factors, but let's discuss the health factors and really get into the nit and gritty about all of the information we need to know to say, well, what makes local grown produce better than produce from the grocery store? So a great thing about locally grown produce is that there are not any GMOs. Well, what is a GMO? Genetically modified organisms are created in the lab. And the scary thing about GMOs are that if a farmer plants a crop with all GMO organisms and something comes in and wipes that out, then half of our food supply could be completely destroyed simply because we use a GMO. So the good thing about local foods is that there aren't any GMOs. There are no preservatives, no added sugar, none of these nasty things that we've found out here recently that literally kill your body. Local foods are passed down from generation to generation with heirloom varieties. So let's take a look into what some of the experts have to say about heirlooms.
Most heirloom varieties have a lot better qualities to them. They might not produce the perfect fruit or the most fruit like a genetically modified organism crop, which helps prevent disease and drought and bugs and stuff like that, but the heirloom varieties probably have more health benefits to them overall, for sure. As a farmer, I mean, you have to adjust with the demands of the buyer, and it seems like healthier foods has come to the forefront recently. Even like produce like pumpkins, it's ornamental, but they want to know where it come from and what's been put on it, what kind of pesticides and how it's been handled, and they like the local family farm thing.
So is there a big push for education with local foods?
Yeah, I think as a whole, probably society's become more educated as a whole, and they want healthier foods, and in most colleges or high schools or wherever, there's probably been a lot of education as far as knowing where your food comes from, is it safe to eat, and the background of it. So,
Have you ever eaten something from the grocery store and literally tasted the preservatives and the high fructose corn syrup? Well, the good thing is with natural foods and locally produced foods, there isn't any of that. It's simply from the farm straight to your table with nothing in between. It doesn't get any better than that. Now let's talk about the taste of these natural foods. You can definitely taste the difference between a GMO organism and an heirloom variety. Now, I don't know about you, but I do not want to compromise the taste of food for something made in a lab.
I prefer to grow my own food. Yes, it does create a lot of work, and it depends on what you're growing, but I think you get a satisfaction of growing your own food. Some stuff's a lot easier than others, like beef or corn or a lot of garden varieties, but some of the stuff, it probably is a little easier to go to the grocery store and buy your own.
Supporting local foods allows farmers to keep up their land in the means necessary to ensure that we will have the future farmland to produce for future generations. So let's take a look into what my brother, Nathan Osborne, a USDA NRCS agent, has to say about this.
Yeah, I think so. I think as a whole, most lands being it's probably not meeting its full potential as far as what it can produce. Some of the corn land and stuff like that in the Midwest is, but typically it's not meeting the maximum production that it can. And a lot of that is attributed to not as many farmers living at home, being full-time farmers anymore, so it's harder to take care of the farms. They're doing it at night or whenever they can, but I think as a whole, it's getting tougher. Yeah. On average, the average age of an American farmer is probably in the upper 50s now. So there has been a lot of turnover as far as number of farms. Probably the size of the average farm is going up because you're having more mega farms, but it has been as a whole harder for farmers to stay in business, and that's why you see a lot of farmers going to stuff like pumpkins here as more of a agritourism or something like that to add added income to the farm to just survive. So
when you purchase locally produced products, there are less harsh chemicals than what you receive from the field. The chemicals that are being put on plants that's regulated by the government are a lot more harsh than what you'd ever expect. I suggest that you take a look into the chemicals that the government is putting on our food on a daily basis and reevaluate where you get your food from. In some of my previous videos, I've talked about the fact that I grew up around Christmas tree growers, and I'll never forget when a doctor came out with a study that people who are surrounded by Christmas trees have higher rates of cancer. Now, this is pretty scary considering the area that I come from, but this just goes to prove and to show that when you're surrounded by chemicals day after day and it gets into the watershed, then cancer can be more prevalent along these communities. And the concerning fact is, this is fertilizer that is available to any farmer to spread on any crop. Lastly, we've talked about the health benefits and the environmental benefits, but it's always fun to include a short little sneak peek of the community building that local farmers markets provides and what being a locavore is all about, and that's community support. So here's a few pictures and a look into my local market and the atmosphere that we have every Friday. So if you don't want to be eating straight chemicals, I suggest you join me in becoming a locavore and visit your local farmers market today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad you joined us for our segment of how to become a locavore. Stay tuned for more information on the movement and how you can impact your community one person and one vegetable at a time.